Go inbounds! Go
Yeah,
inbounds!
Nicole, he needs to stay inbounds.
He needs to stop the clock. There's 10 seconds left.
No, that's not how it works.
That's
See, he has to
ridiculous.
say inbounds so that the clock will stop and then he can kick a field goal and win.
Yeah.
Nicole, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. Get it? Wrong field. Wrong field.
The definition of social inequality based on the book describes the concept as a social condition in which privileges, opportunities, and substantial rewards are given to people in some positions in society but denied to others. Social inequality happens at all levels of the social world model and goes back to the 3 points of property, power, and prestige. In my situation, we can depict the topic of social inequality being a gender inequality and the topic of gender socialization. Socialization, as described in lecture, is the process by which people develop a sense of self within context of social relations. The issue with gender inequality is that if you are born female, you will be female for the rest of your life. That is, there is no control in being able to change your gender. A female's desire to want to understand football and being discriminated for it is the part that is unequal. The situation could be going back to the idea of feminist sociology theory. In lecture, it is written that feminist sociology theory is rooted in conflict theory, symbolic interactionalism, and social hierarchies, basically saying that there is a disadvantage towards women and an advantage for men. In this situation, we can root the problem to all 4 concepts. The girl had an opinion about what should be happening during the game, in which she was correct about it. Even though she was correct, men believed that her placement in society and gender socialization, along with the concept of feminist sociology theory where men get the upper hand, is trumping her knowledge. Even before the female had said anything, the men had been thinking the way that they have because of her societal placement and the ideals of prejudice. Sexism and gender inequality is a concept that is found all over the world. In that case, normalization of gender inequality is what is to be expected. People are born to be surrounded by such situations, and there is no avoiding a situation of sexism due to the way socialization is built. Socialization embodies itself with the concept of nature and nurture. Nature and nurture is society's way of depicting a person's natural behavior and shapes an individual's attitude when it comes to social hierarchies and other different types of inequality. Society accepts sexism and views it as a norm. Men and women are raised thinking that women should behave a certain way and go about norms a certain way. Gender inequality can be seen as an invisible conflict because of ideals of normalization of the concept. In other words, people are blind to the topic of gender inequality because of the norms of social hierarchies and power split between dominant and minority groups. In my case, the boys in the video depict the dominant group of sport illustrated topics. The girl is a minority, and not just because she was the only one in the room. As described in the book and lecture, the form of dominant-minority group relations depend on the factor of power balance and physical and cultural distinctions between groups. We can distinct the split between men and women when it comes to the idea of football and understanding the sport in my situation. If it had been a male calling out the points of the game, would the same situation have happened? The definition of agency and structure can be defined on separate terms. Agency can be seen as a way in which an individual can behave freely, but still has to abide by the structure of society and socialization. A way in which a situation could have been fixed is by proving oneself. People, once they are brought into the world, should experience nature and nurture in a different manner and have sexism become an invisible topic. For anything, the female had seemed to know much about the game. And we can see that she fought back with more points of the play than just one phrase of "he needs to get down." An argument had been formed, but because of the power balance and the topic of feminist theory, men believe they have the upper hand when it comes to a sport that women are unable to play professionally. The female, if she had not been the only one in the room, could have used more females who are as knowledgeable or more on the game of football to outtalk the men who are discriminating in the room. I believe because if the female had been the only one in the room, the men will use power balance and prejudice to outsmart the female in the game of football. However, if there had been gender number switch, the female would have had a greater way of proving her football knowledge.